The numbers on the screen didn't make sense at first. Caspian blinked, leaned closer, and refreshed the page again. The balance stayed the same, 0. His college fund, every dollar his dad had saved for 11 years, was gone. His hands shook on the trackpad, the room suddenly colder, like the air itself had stopped moving. The date on the statement read 3 days ago. One transaction, family expense. A sound broke the silence. Slow footsteps on the hallway floor, coming toward his door. His chest tightened so hard he could barely breathe. When his mother stepped in holding a steaming mug of coffee, she couldn't look at him. And that's when she told him what they'd done, and who it was really for. Ever trusted someone with your future, only to watch them hand it to someone else? Families can be messy, especially when step-parents start picking sides. If you've ever felt like the backup option in your own home, hit that subscribe button. This story is about what happens when the forgotten child finally stops forgetting. But first, you need to understand how we got here. Caspian Halverson was 18, the kind of kid who always had a plan for everything. He was in his last year of high school, already holding his acceptance letter to the state's engineering program. On his laptop, a color-coded spreadsheet tracked every dollar of his college costs, every scholarship deadline, and even the cost of rent near campus. Every Saturday morning, he worked the breakfast shift at Riverside Diner. The air there always smelled like hash browns and burnt toast, and the sound of coffee brewing never really stopped. He liked that place because he earned every cent himself. Independence mattered to him. He wanted to prove he could make it without asking anyone for help. His room was small but neat. A corkboard hung above his desk, covered with university maps and budget notes written in careful handwriting. His dad, Kieran Halverson, had been sending money into his college fund every month since the divorce, back when Caspian was 7. That fund was his lifeline, the proof that his future was real and waiting for him. He dreamed of studying aerospace engineering, already lined up for a summer internship before classes started. Every Sunday night, he'd check his college fund online just to make sure everything was right where it should be. He never asked his mom for money. If he needed more, he picked up extra shifts. Caspian's mom, Verity Halverson Wickham, was 42, kind but tired, always trying to keep peace in a house that didn't feel like hers anymore. She had remarried when Caspian was 10 to a man named Thorne Wickham, who owned a small cleaning business. Thorne came with a son, Soren, who was now 26 and still living in their basement. The house was a simple, split-level home. Soren's space downstairs was a mess. Old pizza boxes, game controllers, and blinking computer screens that never seemed to turn off. Most nights, Caspian could hear the muffled sounds of video games under his floorboards. Every Sunday, they'd all sit together for dinner. Thorne would talk about how hard business was, how people these days don't want to work, while Verity quietly passed the dishes. Soren got the newer car when he turned 18. Caspian had saved for his own used one, and when his broke down, he fixed it himself. Soren's insurance was paid by Thorne. Caspian's wasn't. When Thorne first married Verity, he told Caspian, "You're part of the family now. I'll treat you like my own." He took him fishing twice that first year, then stopped trying. Since then, the unspoken rule in the house had been simple. Soren came first. Whenever things got tense, Verity would say the same words. "Caspian, be understanding. They're just different." She handled all the emotions while Thorne handled all the money. That money included the college fund Kieran had started years ago. The deposits came automatically, the account held in trust with Verity as the custodian. When Caspian turned 18 3 months ago, Verity told him they'd handle the transfer soon. They even had a quiet dinner to celebrate, nothing fancy, just spaghetti and store-bought cake. It seemed fine. He believed her. 6 weeks before Caspian's college orientation, everything started to change. It began at Sunday dinner when Soren announced his engagement to his girlfriend, Bryony. She held out her hand to show off the ring, everyone clapping and cheering. Thorne slapped Soren on the back and immediately started talking about the wedding. "We'll make it big," Thorne said, grinning. "Soren deserves the best." He looked straight at Verity when he said it, and her smile faltered. Caspian didn't think much of it that night, but over the next week, things started to feel off. Thorne and Soren sat at the dining table every evening, flipping through wedding magazines and comparing venues that cost more than $40,000 or $60,000. Verity kept quiet, pretending to be busy when Caspian asked about his fund transfer. "Still processing," she said once, without looking up. Soren teased him when he brought up money. You wouldn't get it, he laughed. You've never been in love. Thorne added with a smirk. Family supports family in big moments, right, kiddo? That night, Caspian had trouble sleeping. He started checking his account more often. His stomach stayed tight at every meal. 3 weeks before college started, a letter arrived from his financial aid office asking for proof of assets, including his college fund. He needed to show that the money was still there. When he asked Verity again, she told him not to worry, that it was all being handled. But something about her tone made his chest heavy. Then one evening, walking past the living room, he overheard Thorne on the phone saying, "The money is there, it'll work." The screen in front of him showed a wedding venue's website. Caspian didn't say anything that night. Instead, he went upstairs, sat at his desk, and decided to log into his account himself. That's when he found out the truth. Caspian stared at the screen. The number sat there like a joke that wasn't funny. $847.32. His college fund was supposed to be around $79,000. He blinked hard, refreshed the page, checked the account number 3 times. Still the same. His throat went dry, the world shrinking to the small glow of the laptop screen. He clicked through the account history, scrolling faster. One line caught his eye, a withdrawal 4 days ago. Authorized custodian transfer. His pulse jumped. He took screenshots, his hands shaking so badly he almost dropped the mouse. He checked his email, no alerts, no messages, nothing, just silence. Then he heard footsteps on the stairs, slow, heavy. A knock followed. Caspian. His mom's voice came softly. The door opened before he could answer. She stepped in with a mug of chamomile tea, steam rising from it. She set it down and sat on the edge of his bed. Why is my college fund empty? His voice didn't even sound like his own. It was too calm. Her shoulders slumped. She didn't look at him. Thorne and I made a decision, she said quietly. Soren needs this wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Caspian just stared. The room buzzed with a low ringing in his ears. You have scholarships, and she continued. You'll figure it out. Soren doesn't have those options. We're asking you to be the bigger person here. That money wasn't yours, Caspian said, voice tight. Dad paid into that for 11 years. I'm the custodian, she replied quickly. Legally, I can use it for family needs. Soren is family. She stood up, leaving the tea untouched. I hope you'll understand one day, she said before walking out. The door clicked shut. Caspian sat there, frozen. They'd stolen it days ago, and kept eating dinner with him like nothing had happened. The next morning, Thorne was at the table with his usual fake cheer. Morning, kiddo, he said, pouring coffee. Your mother told me you two talked. Glad we're all on the same page. Caspian didn't answer. Thorne smiled like a man who'd already won. We're doing this as a family decision. You agreed family comes first, remember? Verity nodded, her tone soft but firm. We know it feels sudden, sweetheart, but you'll thank us when you see how happy Soren is. You've always been so mature. Soren walked in mid-conversation, showing off honeymoon pictures on his phone. He didn't even seem to know, or care, what had happened. Caspian felt a twist of guilt. Maybe he was being selfish. Maybe he could manage on scholarships alone. Then Thorne leaned back in his chair. You know, he said, state schools are expensive. Maybe you take a gap year, work for me full-time, save money, help the family. Caspian's stomach turned. He pushed his plate away and stood up. A text buzzed on his phone minutes later, from Verity. Don't make this harder than it is, we're still your family. Days passed and things got worse. Thorne started walking into Caspian's room without knocking. One afternoon, he dropped a stack of college brochures on his desk. Look at this, he said. Community college, affordable, smart move. Caspian ignored him, pretending to type. We need to know you're committed to this family, Thorne pressed. Soren is counting on this wedding happening. The dining table turned into a wedding planning station, flowers, invoices, venue lists. Every time Caspian got home from work, they were there, talking about colors and catering. One evening, Soren grinned at him. You should be my groomsman. Show everyone we're real brothers. Caspian stayed silent. Then Thorne asked for Kieran's contact information. Maybe he could help out more if he cared, he said. Later, Caspian noticed his desk drawers had been moved. Verity claimed she was looking for tax papers. A few days after that, Thorne handed him a printed statement. Sign this. It says the college fund was a family gift, mutually agreed upon, just in case your father causes trouble. Caspian refused. That night, his door lock was removed. For safety, Thorne said with a smile. The house no longer felt like home. He spent extra hours at the diner just to breathe. During breaks, he emailed his dad, explaining everything, hoping for a reply that never came. 2 weeks before the wedding, Thorne waited for him outside after a late shift. The air was thick and heavy. "You're either with this family or you're not," Thorne said. "Choose." Caspian tried to walk past him, but Thorne stepped closer. "If you contact your father or make problems, you'll need somewhere else to live." He gripped his backpack. "You can't." "I can," Thorne cut in. "Your car insurance is under my policy. Your phone's on my plan. Think about what you're risking." Soren appeared at the door, smirking. "Stop being a brat, Caspian. It's just college. I'm getting married." Verity stood behind them, silent. Thorne's voice hardened. "We could tell your school your situation changed, that your aid forms weren't accurate. Don't push us." He turned away, tossing, "Wedding's in 12 days. After that, we'll talk about community college." Caspian didn't answer. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. That night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling, realizing they'd planned everything, the timing, the pressure, even his isolation. His dad hadn't replied. His friends were already leaving for college. He had no one. Panic came in waves that didn't stop. 5 days before the wedding, Caspian sat in his room at 2 a.m. The walls felt smaller every night. His acceptance letters were still pinned above his desk, but now they looked like taunts. The boxes of dorm supplies in the corner gathered dust. He hadn't slept in 30 hours. His eyes burned as he scrolled through his bank app again. Then he noticed a file on his phone. Old legal paperwork from his parents' divorce. He opened it and read carefully, heart racing. The college fund was an irrevocable trust. Verity had been only the custodian until his 18th birthday. That meant what she did wasn't allowed. It was theft. Then his phone buzzed. An email. It was from Kieran. "Call me immediately. I just saw your messages. I have all the records. This is not legal." Before he could react, another email came through. This one from an attorney. "Custodial theft is prosecutable. We can freeze the wedding expenses and force the return of funds. Need your confirmation to proceed." Caspian sat up, the fog in his head clearing for the first time in weeks. His hands stopped shaking. He took screenshots of every transaction, every message, every threat. He opened a new file, started saving them one by one. For the first time, he felt something cold and steady instead of fear. They had counted on him staying silent, on him being scared. Not anymore. He opened his email and typed back to the attorney. "Proceed with everything." The sun was just starting to rise. The house was silent. Caspian took a long, deep breath, the first one that didn't hurt. He looked around his room, every detail sharp again. From that moment on, he documented everything, every text, every word, every action. They had stolen from the wrong person. They thought stealing from an 18-year-old would be easy. They forgot that 18 means legal adult, with legal options. Tap the like button if you know what's coming. Caspian called his dad the next morning from the diner's parking lot. It had been 6 months since they last talked, but the second Kieran answered, his voice was sharp and steady. "I've got every record," he said. "Every deposit, every receipt, every transfer. She had no right." For the first time, Caspian felt the ground under him again. Kieran wasn't guessing. He knew exactly what to do. He sent copies of the trust papers that same morning. The document was clear. Verity's control over the fund ended the day Caspian turned 18. The withdrawal made 3 months later was a crime. That afternoon, Caspian took his break at the Riverside Diner and joined a video call with the attorney Kieran had contacted. The attorney's tone was calm, but every word carried weight. "They used stolen money for those deposits," she said. "That means we can freeze them and alert every vendor that the funds came from theft." She laid out the plan step by step. They would file an emergency injunction 48 hours before the wedding, close enough that the fallout would hit at the worst possible time for Thorne and Verity. Caspian listened carefully, taking notes, the tension in his chest finally loosening. He sent her everything. Screenshots of the account, copies of texts, even the recording of Thorne's threats. Kieran filed a complaint with the state's Financial Crimes Division that same day. The attorney began sending cease and desist letters to every vendor connected to the wedding, backed with proof that the money wasn't theirs to spend. By evening, Kieran had arranged an apartment near Caspian's college. The first month's rent was already paid, the utilities set up in his name. A restraining order was also in progress, just in case Thorne tried to retaliate. At home, Caspian said nothing. He packed quietly, folded clothes, labeled boxes. When Thorne made small talk at breakfast, Caspian looked him in the eye and nodded calmly. When Verity asked if he was doing better, he just said, "I'm fine." He slept through the night for the first time in weeks. 2 days before the wedding, the attorney scheduled a mandatory family meeting at her office. The legal freeze would hit the accounts that same night. Caspian picked up the restraining order documents, confirmed his university housing check-in, and transferred his insurance to Kieran's plan. By Thursday morning, everything was in motion. The wedding was set for Saturday. But by Wednesday night, the money, every last dollar of it, was locked beyond their reach. The meeting started at exactly 10 in the morning, 2 days before the wedding. The attorney's conference room felt cold and serious. A long mahogany table stretched across the room, polished until it shined. The chairs were made of dark leather that squeaked when someone shifted. The air conditioner hummed softly, and the walls were covered in shelves full of law books. Thorne and Verity walked in first. They looked confused, holding hands like they were walking into a doctor's office. The attorney had told them it was a routine meeting about estate planning. Thorne wore his usual business casual look, trying to appear confident. Verity clutched her purse like it was her lifeline. Caspian entered next with Kieran beside him. Both were dressed neatly, calm, and ready. Thorne's face twisted when he saw them. "What is this?" he snapped. "Why is he here?" The attorney didn't flinch. "Please, sit down," she said evenly. "We're here regarding $78,400 in stolen funds." The room went silent. Everyone took their seats, Caspian and Kieran on one side, Thorne and Verity across from them. It looked like a courtroom. One side right, one side wrong. Verity's face turned pale. She looked at Caspian as if he had betrayed her, not the other way around. Thorne forced a smirk. "This is family business. You have no right. This," the attorney cut in, "is criminal business. Let's begin." Thorne's jaw clenched. Verity's hands shook. A small recording device sat on the table, the red light blinking. The attorney announced its purpose for record-keeping. The faint smell of Verity's perfume, the same one she wore the night she told Caspian the truth, filled the air. Caspian sat still, eyes steady, breathing slow. He wasn't scared anymore. The attorney started the presentation. A document appeared on the screen behind her. "This," she said, "is the trust agreement." She pointed to a highlighted section. It clearly states that Verity Wickham's custodial rights ended on Caspian Halverson's 18th birthday, 3 months before the withdrawal. Thorne frowned, trying to sound sure of himself. "That's not how it works. She's the mother." "Legally irrelevant," the attorney replied. "The withdrawal made after that date is unauthorized. That means theft." Next came the bank records. The withdrawal date was shown in bold, matching a payment to a wedding venue. Caspian recognized it. It was the same place Soren had bragged about online. "We were going to pay it back," Verity cried. "It was temporary." "With what?" Kieran asked sharply. "You've been planning this wedding for months. You didn't even tell him." The attorney played the next piece of evidence, a recorded clip. Thorne's voice filled the room. "If you make problems, you'll need somewhere else to live." Thorne slammed his hand on the table. "You recorded me in my own house? Perfectly legal in this state," the attorney replied calmly. "Sit down." He glared but obeyed. Then the attorney displayed the final proof, text messages from Verity's phone. Her own words appeared on the screen. "Soren needs this more than you need state school." The room went still. Verity broke down, covering her face as she cried. "We're your family," she said between sobs. Caspian didn't look away. He sat quietly, watching them fall apart. Thorne's posture collapsed, shoulders slumped, his fake authority gone. Verity looked up, finally. "What do you want from us?" Caspian answered softly but firm. "I want what you took. All of it." The attorney slid a folder across the table. "You have two choices," she said. "Option 1, return all funds within 48 hours, including legal fees, and we won't pursue criminal charges. Option 2, we file theft charges, open a financial crimes case, and add a civil suit." Thorne's face drained of color. "You can't." "We already did," she interrupted. "The injunction is active. All accounts connected to the stolen funds are frozen." Thorne reached for his phone, scrolling fast, realizing the money was gone. "We've already spent $15,000 on deposits," he muttered. "We can't." "You'll have to sell assets," she said. "The vendors have been notified. Until full repayment is made, they won't move forward." Verity's phone buzzed again and again on the table. Soren's name flashed across the screen. She ignored it. "Please," she begged, turning to Caspian. "Don't do this to your brother." Caspian's voice was quiet but steady. "You did this. I'm just fixing it." Thorne's final argument came weak and desperate. "We'll lose the house if we take out loans to pay this back." Kieran spoke before Caspian could. "You should have thought of that before stealing from your own kid." The attorney slid another document forward. "Sign here," she said. "You have 36 hours to repay $78,400 plus $5,000 in legal fees. Until then, we'll hold a lien on your home." Thorne hesitated, then scribbled his name. Verity followed, tears falling onto the paper. By the time they were done, the wedding was effectively over. Vendors had canceled. The venue released the date. Soren and Bryony postponed everything and later quietly eloped. Caspian stood, thanked the attorney, and walked out beside his father. He didn't look back once. Outside, the sun was bright and warm. For the first time in months, Caspian felt free. Caspian is 21 now. He's in his third year at the State University, studying aerospace engineering, still right on track. He lives in a small apartment near campus, where the mornings are quiet and calm. The smell of coffee fills the kitchen, while his laptop hums softly on the table. He works part-time at a research lab, keeps a 3.7 GPA, and spends weekends helping review scholarship applications for other students. He hasn't spoken to Verity or Thorne since the restraining order expired. That silence was a choice, not a wound. Soren texts him once in a while, mostly short messages, and once said he was sorry for what their parents did. He's still married to Bryony. Caspian doesn't feel angry anymore. He just understands. "Some people will take everything if you let them," he once told Kieran. "Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're survival." Now he and Kieran share weekly dinners. Kieran never brings up the past, but he always shows up. He even paid for Caspian's sophomore year without being asked. The loss of his mother still stings, but not with regret, just acceptance. She made her choice, and so did he. "They taught me what I wouldn't become," Caspian says quietly sometimes. "That's worth more than what they stole." When does protecting yourself become more important than keeping the peace? If you've ever had to choose between family loyalty and your own well-being, share your thoughts below. You're not alone. If this story spoke to you, subscribe for more stories about quiet strength, self-respect, and choosing peace over chaos. Tap the like button if you believe boundaries protect love, not destroy it. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Your story matters. I'll see you in the comments.